Well, joining me is Dylan Posel, who played Hornswoggle, the leprechaun, in WWE between 2006 and 2016, and by the podcaster and commentator James Barr.
Is it the Piers and James show now?
Do you know what it is? I think Piers realizes that he found the stupidest person in England, and no matter what Piers says, no matter how outrageous or egregious, and I don't think Piers does that anymore. To be honest with you, a lot of the things that Piers says, I agree with him, but I think Piers has found the person where he can always look right in every conversation, because James Barr is one of the stupidest people I've ever seen appear on a talk show. He is so dumb, it is unbelievable.
He's wearing blue today.
It's a change, isn't it? What's going on, James? Pink ain't working for you no more. Honestly, though, James is... I don't think I've ever seen him make a valid point about anything. He literally talks out of his arse. I can't wait to hear what he has to say here, because I know they're talking about Snow White. They're calling it Snow Woke now because Snow White is Mexican, and the 7 dwarves are no longer dwarves.
Yeah, I saw that there was only one dwarf in it.
Do you know how crazy that is? There's not that many roles for dwarves to actually play, and the biggest film they could probably ever appear in is Snow White, right? They are front and center in that story, and you just took jobs away from all of them. And do you know the clown that basically started this? Peter Dinklage. Do you know who that is?
No.
Do you ever watch Game of Thrones?
No.
Okay, in Game of Thrones, there's a guy in it called Peter Dinklage. He was also in Elf. He played the dwarf character in Game of Thrones, the Lannister.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. He's really.
He advocated.
Isn't he like one of the most famous dwarfs?
The most famous dwarf.
Okay, cool.
He is the dwarf. He advocated for this to happen, for these sort of things to happen. After he's made all his money, played all his dwarf roles, become the most popular dwarf actor on the planet. Now it's offensive to cast people in dwarf roles.
There's a lot of hypocrisy going on, I gotta say, from being somebody who's a little bit unique, front row seat to some...
Really? Like what? Like what do you see?
Well, it's really progressive to cast literally no offense to anything, but I was a little taken back by they're very proud to cast a Latino actress as Snow White.
Yeah.
But you're still telling the story of Snow White.
Yeah.
7 dwarfs.
Sure.
So, take a step back and look at what you're doing there.
Yeah.
I know. That makes no sense to me. You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that backward story of 7 dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing, man? Have I done nothing to advance the cause from my soapbox? I guess I'm not loud enough. I don't know what studio that is, but they were so proud of that, and all love and respect to the actress and to the people who thought they were doing the right thing. But I'm just like, what are you doing?
Now it's
is that what he's saying?
Yeah, he's the one. This came about because of him. He's one of the loudest voices about it. After he makes his money, fuck all the other ones.
Yeah, why is he trying to take things away from... Oh, my God.
How many times do you see films where dwarves are the front and center? Even in something like The Hobbit. The actors that are playing the Hobbits or in Lord of the Rings, they're not actually dwarves, right? They're people. It's makeup and CGI.
So is he the reason why Snow White has now only got one dwarf?
He's a big part of the problem.
Is he in it?
No, he's not.
They probably asked him to be in it, and that's when he probably just kicked off, because he's not center of attention now because there's about 6 other dwarfs working alongside him.
I think that's such a shitty thing to do. You make all your money I can understand being a dwarf actor, how hard that must be. There's not going to be that many roles for you to play. And then the one film, Snow White, and it's called Snow White and the 7 Dwarves. Each of those dwarves had their own personalities, and they were the heroes in the show, right? They looked after Snow White. It wasn't like they were going to cast them as dwarves, in Lord of the Rings, they're attacking people and shit. This would have been perfect for people that are of dwarf height to play.
I think you'd want to watch it. Like, if you're watching the film, you'd want to see dwarfs as well. Like, it really is just defeating the whole concept and object.
Yeah, I'm tired of CGI, man. I want some practical shit.
Yeah.
Like, get actual dwarf actors. That would have made much more sense. But we live in the upside down, so I don't know why I'm surprised.
True.
All right, James, you've got no problem with what Disney are doing. You think this is progressive and inclusive, and all those moaning about it should shut up.
I think you should live in the 1930s, actually, Piers, because that's where you belong, really, listening to what you were just saying then. Also, I'm going to quote Warwick Davis, because he said he finds it patronising when people are offended on his behalf. And you've just spent a 5-minute monologue being offended on his behalf. And I think that's ridiculous.
Well, let me bring in Dylan, because Dylan is also offended, and he happens to be a dwarf actor.
That's Hornswoggle from WWE. He played Vince McMahon's illegitimate son in 2006. And then he was a reoccurring character on WWE for 10 years. He used to he used to be under the ring, and he would get involved in matches. So something would be going on, and Hornswoggle just runs out from under the ring. It was actually quite funny. I enjoyed watching him on there.
Dylan, I've got to say, I was very curious when I saw what Peter Dinklage came out and said, because I did wonder who appointed him the head of the dwarf actor community. And it turns out nobody did other than him. And the people who it seems to me have really suffered in all this are the 6 dwarf actors who would have expected to have roles in this remake in a massive Hollywood blockbuster, who are now not going to have that experience, or the money, or the fame that may have come with that. What is your response to that?
So it's not a progression at all to me. My issue with it is exactly what you said. There are actors, dwarf actors, that that dream to be in a major motion picture such as this Disney remake. And now, because Peter Dinklage said what he said last year, now it's taken away. And it's taken away because of quote unquote progression and all that. And it's not right, because these are roles made for actors of my stature, roles that aren't ever really given. I can't go out for the...
Sorry to cut it off so quick, but all I'm thinking is right now is if it's about progression and inclusivity and things like that, then they should more so be getting them roles, because like we're saying, there's not enough roles out there for them. If you want to be inclusive, then why not have them all do it?
Because like I said before, this inclusivity thing is just a farce. They don't even know left from right.
You're including actors who can probably get a job in any type of movie. They've got so many more opportunities, and they're still taking the opportunity of people who haven't got as many.
Yeah, it's actually really unfair. Of all the people I can think of that probably don't get that many roles, I bet dwarves are at the top of the list. What's it called now? Snow White and the 7 magical creatures.
Is that what they've called it as well?
They're probably just going to call it Snow White.
There's no point of doing a remake if you're just going to change everything.
The last Disney remake I watched was Lion King. And I swore to the people I was with, I'm not paying for another Disney remake again. That film was so fucking shit. I couldn't believe it. And Lion King is one of my favorite films. Original Lion King, it's got to be up there with some of the most epic films you'll ever see. The way they animated it, the messaging behind it, the music, even in Lion King 2, Lion King 2 gets overlooked, but songs like He Lives in You or He Is Not One of Us, those songs were incredible. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with the live action ones, but they seemed soulless. Do you know what they did? Instead of actually making it feel like a Disney film, the lions actually look like real lions. So they can't emote the way they do in the films. You can't really tell if... When Mufasa dies, when the swarm knock him over, and Simba goes down and he's like, Dad, wake up. In the live
that's
action...
so sad. I cry.
It's fucking sad in the original, but in the remake... Because the lions can't really express their emotions because they're lions, the morons over at Disney didn't put 2 and 2 together, and the lions, they're like, Dad. I'm like, I can't get into this. I can't. It was so shit. I won't watch Disney. I'm definitely not gonna watch this one.
The Harrison Ford or the George Clooney roles, because that's not for me. These dwarf roles are for people of my stature,
right?
And now it's taken away. I don't feel that's right. And not only that. But now think about the additional stunt actors or body doubles or that. Now you're talking multiple actors of my stature that don't get these major roles. And why? What's the reasoning? Because we're supposed to be progressive and we're supposed to just not view them as that?
Well, you know the
these
irony.
These were heroes. Of these dwarves, these dwarves took care of Snow White.
Right.
They all had characteristics, separate characteristics. They weren't these cave-dwelling monsters that people speak of. They all had 7 different characteristics for 7 different actors that from my community, and I don't feel it's right that got taken away
completely
from us.
and utterly agree with you. And
that's basically what I said, right? The characters in Snow White, they all had their own personalities. I can't remember what their names were because it's been so long now.
Sleepy, sneezy, grumpy, dopey.
Yeah. I remember. I'm starting to remember their names now, but they were all distinct. How can you preach inclusivity and do this? This is actually pretty fucked up when you think about it. Imagine, imagine being an actor, right? Being an actor is difficult. Not everybody's making big bucks like Tom Cruise and The Rock. Most people end up failing. They end up in like C to B tier films that no one ever sees. And then they have regular jobs that they're also trying to keep up funding this. Snow White's coming out, right? I don't like Disney live action films. I wouldn't have seen it regardless unless one of my friends were in them. But imagine being the actor like, oh my God, a dwarf role. This is something where I can really sink my teeth into. I could get my name out there. You got fucking Peter Dinklage, who has already made God knows how much from Game of Thrones. And don't get me wrong, he was one of my favorite characters in that show. He's a phenomenal actor. But to take opportunities away from dwarves that haven't gotten into your position because you think it's offensive is absolutely ridiculous. You made your money, you dipped, and you cost the rest of your community. And for what? What exactly how is this inclusive? I can't even figure this one out. I can't even see the side that is trying to make sense of it.
I just don't understand how he's gotten to this point. It's as if he's maybe been brainwashed.
He must have. I mean, I don't expect a lot from Hollywood. I really don't. They honestly, it doesn't really surprise me with half the shit you see now. They'll say one thing and do the other, and then shit on normal people, and then do the exact same thing. And it's just like, but this is actually pretty fucked up. And the worst thing is that basically the guy that is the most successful person in their community shafted the rest of them. That's like if Denzel Washington, right, who I regard probably one of the greatest actors.
Yeah.
Probably one of the greatest black actor, let's say, right? Or one of. Mm-hmm. And he did his thing, and he was like, yeah, these roles, they ain't for you guys. I've done my thing, but you guys, like Jamie Foxx, Will Smith, all these guys get thrown under the bus by somebody that has already made their money, that is of similar descent than them. It's such a fucked up thing to do.
The irony is that they profess, these progressives, to want to do this to protect you, right? They protect dwarf actors from being, somehow smeared. But you don't feel that way at all.
Peter Dinklage spoke up about this, and that was my issue. He had in the past no issue cashing checks that were made for dwarf roles like Elf and all of that. Yes, he blew away the barriers when he did his roles that weren't necessarily made for a dwarf. But the Elf role was made for a dwarf. That check cleared just fine. So now that he's gone and done that, the progression of dwarf actors, it doesn't sit right with me.
No,
that this guy who is exactly what you said, what gave him the voice for all of our community?
Yeah,
why?
I was honest. I think
a complete hypocrite. Let me bring James back in. So
when
James,
Piers Morgan is agreeing with you, I think you need to be concerned. I'll say that for the.
So you're telling a dwarf actor what he should feel?
Having
Yo. Isn't Piers giving you all this airtime?
Yeah, for real. You should be thanking him. You should be kissing his boots. James, you are a special kind of stupid. You are like primary school stupid. Because you don't like somebody, no matter what they say, they're wrong, as far as you're concerned. How can you sit there and say if Piers is agreeing with you, you should be worried? What did Hornswoggle say that you're getting mixed up here? I don't understand. Peter Dinklage made his money. That's a fact, right? Peter Dinklage is the most successful dwarf actor, as far as I'm aware. I don't think there's anyone that's more recognizable than him. Peter Dinklage is as popular as you can get. Has everything. Probably has the girl, has the kid, has the house. Career made. He was in X-Men as well. He's appeared in so many different things. But now other dwarf actors want to come up. He stifles their growth. And somehow, because Piers agrees with that, you've taken issue with that. I have to ask, if I ever get the chance to ask Piers Morgan, why do you keep on having this retard on the show? If you want to have him on for LGBT issues, fine. Even though I think he does his community no favors whatsoever. And I think that's deliberate on Piers' part because he knows how stupid he is. But for reason is James here talking about this? I'm actually baffled. He barely has any understanding of things in his own community and things around him, let alone talking about dwarf issues in Hollywood. I can't put my finger on that. Like, it's baffling to me.
Hang on.
And
having literally just lectured me about speaking for someone in the dwarf community, Warwick Davis, you now accuse a dwarf actor.
No, it's not what I said. I said that if you're siding with anyone, you've got to worry. Right. What I'd like to say, actually, is that I kind of mostly agree with what you're saying.
And now sir, that's just taking a pot shot there.
No,
it
is absolutely taking a pot shot. But I do agree with what you're saying. I completely agree with your point of view, and I think that's really important. But I can only speak from my experience, and as a gay man, I know...
Wait, hold on. You just said if someone agrees with Piers, you should be worried. And Hornswoggle and Piers are on the same page, and you agree with Hornswoggle. Yeah, did you finish school, bruv? Who raised you? How stupid you... Maybe he was caught up in the moment. Maybe he was flustered.
Maybe he just wanted to just say something about Piers.
Yeah, I think he just detests Piers, so his brain shuts off. I mean, every time I see him, his brain is shut off. So I just don't know if this guy's just stupid or if he just gets wound up easily.
Just so random, just having him on this episode.
Yeah, it's of all the people, why didn't they get Peter Dinklage? Piers is famous enough to pull him, and Peter Dinklage is English, as far as I'm aware. I think. Maybe I'm wrong about that.
That growing up, I witnessed gay people being villains in movies when I was...
Seven Dwarfs aren't villains.
And that I think stereotypes are really important to
What stereotype do you think they represent?
In the universe of Snow White, wouldn't it be better if dwarfs
this isn't a part of this about the stereotype.
Right.
This is about roles that were made for people of my stature that don't have the chance to go out for other roles normally.
But you, James, so you want to stop Dylan getting a role in a Hollywood film?
I am not going to get into an attack on a dwarf.
You don't want a dwarf actor to land a role playing a dwarf part.
Listen, a dwarf can play a dwarf part, but I think it's important to change narratives that don't fit in today's society. And really,
Which is that narrative?
It might be better if dwarves just exist in normal roles everywhere, because they do exist.
What was so bad about the way dwarves were depicted in Snow White? Have I missed something?
Well,
I just don't understand how he's saying that those narratives don't fit in today's society.
Have you seen Snow White? What about the dwarves do you think is a problem that needs to be changed exactly?
But if he's saying this narrative doesn't fit in today's society, what do you mean? Like, do dwarves not exist? Do they not have a voice? Are they not humans? Like,
they're not villains in it either.
And they're not like here just sort of getting every role. They're not here protesting, everyone needs to support us. They're just getting on with their lives as normal. You barely hear anything. I don't understand. I'm actually lost. I'm lost.
I don't think James has seen Snow White.
I don't think he knows what he's talking about. He's just trying to make an argument for the sake of making an argument. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, honestly. Like, if you're going to come on a show to talk about something like this, maybe you should watch the film first. The characters in that film, they paint people that are dwarves in a positive light. It's 7 dudes, right? They're dwarves, but they're grown-ass men that have taken in a young girl who is vulnerable and looked after her and given her a home. What part of that is a problem for you exactly? Is it because the dwarves are white? Is that the problem here? I'm actually baffled at what the issue is. I don't think you've seen Snow White. What?
If they wanted to give it diversity, they could have done that. They could have got like different cultural dwarves. They could have got different sexuality dwarves, but just kept it as dwarves.
No, I mean, we don't need to know what the dwarf sexuality is. It has nothing to do with the Snow
White
but
it's
film.
just if they want to just make it inclusive, that would make more sense than just doing non-dwarf people.
What I would say is that if they did that, I think the reaction, there would be a visceral reaction to that as well.
So do you ever like, you know, when you're driving and you get to a roundabout?
Right. Is this one of your analogies?
Well, kind of, not really. And you get to a roundabout and everyone's there now from each junction. So you all just stop and wait to see who's going to go first, yeah? And then you're all just waiting there. And then everyone goes to go at the same time because everyone was thinking, all right, well, I'll be the first to go. But everyone thinks the same thing. And then you all go at the same time.
Oh, what? Are you driving in India or something? It's called right of way.
Yes, so my point is that you give way to the right. So let's say I'm coming here, I'm giving way to this one, but this way is giving way to that one that's coming here, and that one's giving way to me. So because we're all there giving way to our right, we're all waiting now.
Where are you going with this?
And then because we're all waiting, one of us has to go, but we're all thinking, all right, I'll be the one to go, and then we all go at the same time. Yeah.
Okay.
Have you never experienced that?
I've watched Road Raja, so I've seen that happen.
When they was like talking and then they both just froze at the same time, waiting for one of them to talk, and then they both went to go talk at the same time.
Oh my God, Sam, you are unbelievable. How did you even get to a roundabout analogy from watching that?
Because I was just thinking, like, the way they both sat there in silence waiting, and then they both thought, okay, he's not talking, so I'll talk. And then they both went to talk at the same time. Reminds me of when you're at a roundabout and you're all just waiting there, and then you all think, I'll go, but then you all go at the same time.
I gotta give it to you. That is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard in my life.
That's not ridiculous. That's what. Do you know
it's
what?
just ridiculous that you thought of a roundabout. I respect it. It made me laugh. But
Listen, this is when I'm watching things. This is what is going through my head, and that's why sometimes I zone out, because I lose concentration of what they're talking about, and now I'm thinking about driving in roundabouts. That's why I struggle to watch films, because I'll be watching it, and the guy might have a certain hairstyle, and then my brain will start thinking about this hairstyle or someone who's had this hairstyle, and then I'll just start going to loads of different places and not actually watching what's happening on the screen.
I do that sometimes. I have one distinct memory of me sitting in class in year 5, and I saw this green plant next to I think the teacher had a red and a blue marker. And my mind instantly went to Spider-Man vs. Green Goblin. And I just sat there thinking about it, and I was like, I don't even know what she's talking about.
Nah.
That's how I failed maths.
Listen, I'm not here to talk about...
That's what I'm kind of wondering as well.
I don't represent Disney, but I'm just saying I think I see their point of view.
What's their point of view? What was so bad about the depiction of the dwarf?
Why are you so upset about a movie changing with the times and moving forward?
Because I think that, honestly, with great respect...
there is real news we could be discussing.
No, but this is real news if you're a dwarf actor who are now out of work because of virtue signaling idiots.
But you're just
who
using
think that everything has to be rewritten
you are just
to be
using
inclusive,
Dylan as a cheap
when in
shot.
fact it's not inclusive at all.
No, you're using Dylan as a cheap shot to attack a wokie.
I don't think Dylan feels I'm using him as a cheap shot. And what I would say about the wokie thing is this. I have spent the last year listening to people tell me only gay actors should play gay parts. Only Welsh actors, so Michael Sheen, should play Welsh characters. And so on, and so on, and so on. But the moment we have dwarf roles, which are the most famous dwarf roles in Hollywood history, then the only people apparently who can't play them are dwarf actors.
Weren't dwarf
and
roles.
I see there
it's a cartoon,
stinking
Piers.
woke hypocrisy.
It has not changed. It was a cartoon. Those weren't actually dwarfs in the movie.
Oh, James, shut up, bro. You're such a donut.
No, but do you see Piers is asking him a question, and instead of answering the question, he's then thrown another question at Piers.
Yeah, because...
Why are you so upset about it? Why don't you answer the question?
You have excluded a whole community of people. Because when he said move with the times, exactly what? Are dwarves going extinct or something? I'm very confused here. For a long time, I've heard the argument that if you're not actually disabled, you can't play somebody in a wheelchair. If you're not Welsh, you can't play a Welsh character. Do you idiots not know what acting is? Look it up in the dictionary. They're acting. That's not who they are. I think it was the guy that plays, what's his name, Heisenberg in Breaking Bad. Walter White. I can't remember what the guy's actual name is. In Malcolm in the Middle. I think he was going to play a handicapped character, and he got so much backlash for it. And I was like, or even the whale, when Brendan Fraser played the whale and they put him in the fat suit, and there were people complaining saying he's not 500 pounds. Get someone that's 500 pounds. Are you stupid or something?
Okay, but then if that's the case and that's what everyone thinks, then why are they now saying the dwarf shouldn't play the dwarfs?
Because they don't believe their own bullshit. They do not believe their own bullshit. This is a prime example of it. Now,
but it's either people agree with that or not, because if you're sitting there you're agreeing that not only Welsh people should play a Welsh person, then you're agreeing that not only dwarfs should play a dwarf.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. Their argument is mixed up. They don't know. This is the problem with trying to go completely woke. Trying to land on your feet is almost impossible because you can never go too far. Just when you think you're woke enough, the goalpost gets moved and you're not. Because I grew up as a liberal, but now when I talk to people, they think I am right wing. That's how far the goalpost has moved. Even you. people here probably think you're right wing when they don't when they're not really paying attention.
Do you believe in inclusivity in terms of in the film industry?
What does that mean though? Inclusivity on what?
Just the idea of changing roles. Like, for example, in the Toy Story movie, I'm pretty sure they made Buzz gay or something. Or
In Lightyear. No, I don't agree with those things. I think that, for example, there was a time where they were trying to turn Peter Parker gay, right? They wanted to have a gay Spider-Man, which I'm just like, who the fuck cares? Why would you want to switch? Why are you focusing on that? Peter Parker has always been in with Mary Jane and the other girl. I can't remember what her name is, the blonde one. So he's always had those romance stories. For what reason do you want him to be with, Michael Jane or whatever? Like, for why? Those things don't make sense to me. Then they want to cast Michael B. Jordan as Superman. No. Superman's a white dude, okay? I know he's an alien, but it's Kal-El presents as a white man. That's the Superman I grew up on. I don't believe in changing established characters just to make a bunch of people feel better. And a lot of the times, these people find it insulting. Steve Rogers, Captain America, is a white guy. I do not want hand-me-down characters. Create a whole new black character, and I'll go and watch the film.
I get it. But, like, for example, I don't know if you've ever seen the film Annie.
That sounds very familiar.
The little ginger girl, the sun will come out tomorrow.
Yeah. Long time.
And
That's really
obviously
old.
Annie in the original movie was white. The dad or Mr. Warbox, whatever, was white, etc. And then they made a newer version of it, a remake, and then they had a black Annie, and then they had Jamie Foxx being Mr. Warbox, and I thought it was great.
Sometimes I don't know much about Annie. I saw it a long time ago. I've only seen the original one, but I don't know much about Annie to really comment, because there's some characters, like for example Catwoman, who has been recast 100 times. Halle Berry played her, Anne Hathaway played her, and in the most recent film, that I don't know what her name is, but that gorgeous mixed race woman. There's certain characters you can recast, but I'm sorry, if I turn on the TV screen and I see Samuel Jackson as Batman, I'm gonna lose my shit. There's just some characters you don't touch for very obvious reasons. If you took an anime like Bleach, Bleach is set in Japan. If they change Ichigo's character for me in Japanese to Hispanic, I'm gonna be like, for what reason did you do that? I'm pretty sure Mexicans and Spanish and Colombians or whatever, they don't want that. They want what we grew up on. To me, that's not inclusivity. First of all, you are denying a person that would have been perfect for that role just because you want to appear more appealing to the masses. It's like when they gender swap characters. When they released, when Jane Foster became Thor, I was like, who asked for this? Who asked for it? And the Jane Foster story was shit in my opinion. I did not like it. Thor Odin's son is Thor, not some random one. It's like if they got some South African guy to play Black Panther. There's just white guy under the hood. People would go absolutely apeshit if they did that. Just leave the established characters and create new ones. I got no problem with you creating new characters.
I get it. It's creating new ones, and it's like if things are an original, then you pretty much want to see the original. Yeah,
I want to see the originals. And sometimes, like I said, sometimes characters can be recast when they don't have that much of a cultural impact. Like Catwoman. Catwoman's a side character. I don't mind her switching. Black Cat, I wouldn't mind very much either. But Peter Parker, for example, Peter Parker is a white dude from New York, right? You want to make Miles Morales and, he's from Harlem or whatever. That's fine. I don't mind. He's a whole separate character, even though Miles Morales is basically just palette swap Peter Parker. Let's just be honest. But if you took a character like, I don't know, who's a popular what's his name? John something, the Black Green Lantern. There's already a white Green Lantern, right? Hal Jordan. If you had the Black Green Lantern and you made him Indian, I'm gonna be like, why did you do that?
But you know what? I also don't think it's that big of a deal, because when you're watching a film, you're just watching a film for the character. You're not really paying attention so much to what they look like. So if they did change it and use somebody of a different ethnicity, what issue is that?
Because some of these characters have serious cultural implications, or that they're culturally relevant, like Superman.
If it's culturally relevant, but in most cases it's not, it's just a character. You see what I'm saying? Like, for example, Little Mermaid.
Well, there is an argument around Little Mermaid on why that happened. I mean, gingers get cast out a lot as well, so I can understand why they would get
I know, but it's like, for example, all the mermaid daughters was all different ethnicities. But it's people shouldn't look at that and go, why have they done that? It doesn't matter. You're just watching a film and seeing he's got daughters. Why does it matter what people look like or what ethnicity they are?
I can understand why someone growing up as Little Mermaid being their favorite film, they want to see that translated from what they saw to what is on the big screen. The problem with this whole inclusivity thing is that it feels very nefarious. It doesn't feel like it used to. You used to get people that, like, I think it was Shawshank Redemption, the two characters in that were supposed to be white, but Morgan Freeman came along and they cast him and they were like, yeah, he's made for this role. There's certain things where it's like, yeah, like you've got a race swap character here or a gender swap character and it makes sense. But there's certain things you should be able to look at and read the room and be like, we probably shouldn't change this. We probably shouldn't make Batman a black man. We probably shouldn't make Goku English. There's certain things that you know what I mean? Read the room, right? Kratos is Greek, okay? He's not Hispanic. If they brought out a God of War film and Kratos is there throwing up gang signs saying Viva la Raza, I'm going to be like, bro, he's Greek, okay? There was no need for this. Follow the source material. It's like Mortal Kombat, right? See it in the background here. They got Mortal Kombat 2 coming out, the film. Imagine like Scorpion. Scorpion is a Japanese character. Imagine they got, I don't know, some Turkish guy to play Scorpion. His name is Hanzo Hasashi. Just follow the source material.
Movie, they were drawn, okay? So firstly...
They were drawn as dwarfs.
No, that is...
But it's a story about dwarves,
dwarfs.
Well, they shouldn't be called that. They should be called...
They shouldn't be called dwarves.
No, they should be called people with
They shouldn't be
dwarfism.
called...
What's wrong with being called dwarves?
Nothing, but that's not the correct
That's the
term.
story.
Dylan, apparently you're not allowed to call yourself...
Dylan can call himself whatever.
Apparently, Dylan, you're not allowed to call yourself dwarves, apparently.
I would love to hear, what should I call myself, sir?
I think you should call yourself whatever you feel comfortable with, but as a person...
He calls himself a dwarf.
Well, that's great.
A dwarf.
Good
Yeah.
for you. I'm happy.
So now, sir, let me pause that. So it shouldn't be called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It should
Listen,
just be
I
called
do not want to
Snow
get
White.
cancelled
So
because I
saying,
think your point of view is more important than mine right now. But what I'm annoyed about is Piers trying to take a cheap shot at someone that believes in society moving forward.
Yeah, I'm actually
because really,
I'm actually exposing the hypocrisy of the woke mentality of only gay people can play gay parts, only trans actors can play trans parts, and so on and so on and so on.
I think
James is so stupid, it's unreal. These people call themselves dwarves. And you're saying they shouldn't be called dwarves. They should be called people with dwarfism. Bro, sink into your bed. Just sink into your bed. Watch this back and just sink slowly and understand the level of dumb that came out of your mouth.
I don't think he will watch it and think, "Do you know what? Maybe that was dumb what I said."
If you're friends with James Barr, please talk to him. He's embarrassing himself. I know these videos get millions of views when Piers puts him on because he's humiliating himself, but dude, come on, man. Your mom cannot be proud of you. That is embarrassing. You've got a dwarf actor who refers to himself as a dwarf, and you're telling him that's offensive. You're speaking on his behalf. Are you an idiot? He's literally sitting right there. You know when they say, I'm right here? That goes over James' head. And then he goes, I don't want to get cancelled, so whatever you're happy with. Why don't you just shut your mouth? Why are you even here?
Why are you talking on behalf of a different community?
Honestly,
That's like somebody saying to James, I don't think you should be called gay. I think you should be called...
man afflicted with gayness.
You know what I mean? He would be like, but you're not gay, so how can you tell me what I should refer to myself as?
Dude, you don't have a foot in this game, man. The dwarf is sitting there telling you that this is not okay, and you're telling him it is okay. And we shouldn't include you in the film. We shouldn't call you dwarfs. They want to change the name from Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to just Snow White. So you've literally, by definition, excluded 7 people from being on the front.
Yeah.
You're honestly an imbecile, and I get why Piers has you on. He's eating this up.
But if you're recreating something that's an original and a classic, why would you not keep it the same? That's like saying, I'm not going to call James Bond anymore. It's going to be called James. But the film is James Bond. That's his name. You know when you see the comment sections of these films that they're adapting, that they've taken from books, or they've taken from animes, or they've taken from games, what does everybody say? Follow the source material. It's already there. You don't have to change anything. Yeah.
It's right there. You don't even have to use your brains.
They're just complicating it for no reason.
Because you need to include new audiences. You dummy. These things were popular for a reason. These audiences still exist today. Like they're bringing out One Piece on Netflix, right? A live action One Piece. I know you've never seen One Piece, but One Piece is an anime that came out just after Dragon Ball Z ended. It's about pirates, and they have special powers and personalities that do not translate to live action. Some animes cannot be made into live action. It doesn't make sense. We saw what happened with Cowboy Bebop, and I saw the trailer and I wanted to vomit. One Piece has been basically the most popular anime on the planet since Dragon Ball Z went away. There's been times when Naruto, Bleach, and all them lot have overtaken it. For you guys that watch anime, even if you don't watch anime, you've probably heard of One Piece. It's so insanely popular. I guarantee you the dummies at Netflix, and I know that Oda is involved, the original creator. I just don't trust Netflix, man. I don't trust them at all. One thing they did do well is that they've brought on the original Japanese voice actors to dub over the English ones, because the English trailer was honestly god awful. But there's certain things you don't touch. But even when they do, just follow the source material. It's already it's laid out for you. The blueprint is there. One Piece is successful. Oda's never gonna be poor. It has sold so many mangas. I'm talking, this is like $1 billion industry, One Piece on its own. I guarantee you when the Netflix show comes out, they're going to make random changes. For what? One Piece came out in 1998. It's 2023. I'm still here. I'm still watching it. Everybody that I grew up with is still watching it. As a matter of fact, it's more popular today than it was back then.
Right to the point. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs has to be cancelled because you're not allowed to have dwarf actors.
You should be happy, Piers, because it means that now you can play your dream role of Grumpy.
I would love to play Grumpy. I loved all the dwarves in that movie. They were great. Let me ask you
guys. You're being a hypocrite.
Guys,
You'd love to play Grumpy, but you're taking a role away from a dwarf actor.
The issue at hand...
No, I would play a fully grown Grump, quite happily.
By taking away a role from a
Let me ask you, Dylan, about the Hugh Grant playing an Oompa Loompa, because, again, it seems to me... Oh, we've got a clip of him playing an Oompa Loompa. Let's have a look at this.
So you're the funny little man who's been following me.
I will have you know that I am a perfectly respectable size for an Oompa Loompa.
An Oompa what now?
Allow me to refresh your memory.
Oh, I don't think I want to hear that.
Too late. I've started dancing now. Once we've started, we can't stop.
So you're the funny little man who's been following me.
Now, they use CGI there, Dylan, to effectively make him into an Oompa Loompa dwarf.
So now...
What do you feel about that?
Yes, sir. So now we're not only using CGI and spending extra money and funding for these movies when we could just cast dwarves in that role. Whether it be one dwarf or multiple, that like they have been in the past. Now you're taking at least one role away or multiple roles away for Oompa Loompa characters. That's what they were in the past. And why, again, I go back to my stance on these roles in Hollywood in general are very hard for people of my community to get, besides the elf and the leprechaun and this and that. So why are they being taken from my community? That's my issue here.
Well,
you know why, Dylan? Stereotypes.
You know why? Because people like James here, they think it's progressive and inclusive. When in fact it's regressive.
Those are not my words.
It's regressive and exclusive.
Your words.
Pierce,
Dylan?
Pierce, I will agree with the mindset of it's not right. I don't know. James seems to be in partial agreement with me on the dwarf actors and the roles with that these should be. But I don't. On the other stuff, I can't speak on that. Obviously, I'm focused fully on the dwarf community really losing roles in these films.
Yeah, I think James started
with all the SAG strikes, with all the writer strikes.
Yeah,
and the actor strikes.
I do agree with you, and I think all I'm trying to say is that I think it's a nuanced conversation, and there's a few different points of view that are valid. And ultimately, in my experience as a gay man, the reason we're upset about gay people not getting gay roles in movies is because we're not getting straight roles as well. And until we are, it's unfair that those roles are taken away from us. So in that respect,
what's that got to do with dwarf actors? Because they can't play regular sized parts.
Exactly. What does that have to do with what's going on here? So because you're upset, you want to take it on dwarves. Is that what you're saying? I don't understand here. You have people like you have lobbied and taken roles away from people, and that's exactly what you're moaning about.
It is. They're suffering for just issues that just don't concern them, and it's really unfair.
No one's talking about gay people, bro. It's not about the LGBT community every single day. all right, you didn't get to play. I'm pretty sure I've seen gay actors playing straight roles before.
Yeah.
I'm sure I've seen that shit. This is not about you. This is about dwarves. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
And the thing is he's saying that he's upset that roles are taken from them. And yet he's agreeing with Peter Dinklage, essentially, that the roles should be taken from potentially the biggest film that a lot of these people could appear in.
It all just doesn't make sense.
There's no brain cells up there, is there? There honestly, there can't be. You are an actual airhead. Everything. Go on. I'll get my insults out in a minute.
He's a good comedian though, because I did find that quite funny when he said Piers, roller grumpy.
But then did you see his retort? Because it was supposed to be a joke, but he was like, "See, you're taking a role away from a dwarf." I'm like, bro, are you stupid or something? Surely your mum must have pulled you out of 4th grade. There's no way. There's no way.
Peter Dinklage's original point is that he would like to see more dwarves in films in general, not just playing dwarfs.
In general, literally, a person of my stature should be able to go out for the same as a 6'5", 200-pound human. But it's just not that way. And I'm okay with that. In reality, I'm okay with that. It's understandable to me. But when it's these roles that are made for people of my stature, that's where I have the issue.
You know what, Dylan? The movie, one of the great movies of all time, is called Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. If dwarf actors in Hollywood are not picked to play those roles, I don't know what roles you're supposed to be playing. It's unbelievably patronising that they've done this under the banner of so-called progression.
And it's not, again, like I said, these dwarves in that movie or in this story aren't viewed poorly, I don't believe. No. They're all separate characters that are actually heroes for this lady.
Yes.
And they take care and they take this lady in.
They save her.
So they're viewed so well to society.
They saved the woman.
Now
they're hardworking. They're wealthy. They are kind. They are generous-hearted. It's hard to think of a more positive narrative about any people at all.
Well, let's just go back to the 1930s, Piers. I think you'd be happy there.
You know what, James?
Blackface would exist still.
No, it's not blackface.
James,
it's not blackface. And what you're now doing, because you know you've lost the argument.
No, there's no argument.
And you know you've been embarrassed.
Honestly, James, just shut up. Every time you open your mouth, you get dumber.
These are just the notes that he prepared before coming. Like, yeah, I'm going to throw these out the bag when I've got nothing else to say, and I'm going to look really clever saying it.
And the exact opposite has happened. How did you take what they were saying? How did you take what Piers and Hornswoggle was saying and going, I guess you just want to go back to the 1930s where there was blackface. Honestly, like, you're an insult. You're an insult to human beings. Like, I can understand why the aliens wouldn't want to come here. There's no way I want to interact with someone as stupid as this.
2 + 2 = 13.
Yeah, in James's world. I think James, if he saw a film about... Yeah, have you ever seen that film Barbershop? Where they're in like Harlem, I think.
Yeah.
It's like a proper black film, black comedy. He'd go, we need to be progressive, okay? Black people don't spend all their time in barbershops. We need to cast white people in there. That's some dumb shit that he'd come out with. Just recast them all because we don't want to stereotype black people. Meanwhile, not understanding that Barbershop was a very successful film, and if they brought out a follow-up, black actors are going to want to be involved in that. But in James's little world, he would say, no, we need to get an Indian guy in there, we need to get a white guy, a Hispanic guy, somebody from a place we haven't even heard, make sure someone's trans, make sure one of them has no leg. For what? And make sure none of them are black. Because we don't want to perpetuate harmful stereotypes. One of their favorite buzzwords. Can't stand people like James.
You're not embarrassed.
You are
creating an argument that doesn't exist.
Hold on, guys.
We agree with each other.
Please.
All right. You know what? You do agree with him now because you realise the futility of your argument.
James, you can't go, oh, you got to go back to 1930s. No, James, if you agree with what I'm saying...
I agree with what you're saying. I don't agree with anything that Piers.
Yeah, here's the thing, Dylan. Dylan, just to be clear.
He literally just said what I said, James.
Dylan, just to be clear, he doesn't agree when I say it, but when you say it, he agrees.
Because you're not a dwarf.
That right now.
No, 2 + 2 = 13.
Yeah, Piers. Get this guy out of here, man. Unbelievable.
So he agrees with him, but he doesn't agree with Piers. But Piers is saying the same thing, and they're in agreement. So I think he fancies Piers. You know, in primary school where they used to be like, oh, if a guy bullies you, he fancies you.
Yeah.
What is this behavior? Like this all, it just doesn't make sense. And I just find it funny how on Piers' interviews, like all the time when it starts getting towards the end, like they all just start talking all over each other and it just becomes a big hot mess.
Yeah, it's really annoying when they do that. You know, there was one point in this interview, James was about to say something incredibly stupid and I wish Piers didn't interrupt him. He was going to say some dumb shit because he hasn't seen Snow White. Clearly he hasn't, because all the dwarves in that film are heroes, right? They're all good people.
Yeah.
They all look after Snow White. They perpetuate good messaging about dwarves, I guess. Like, normally when you think of dwarves in video games, you think of these people that are like, you know, they're holding an axe and they're going to come at you. But in Snow White, they're depicted as heroes, as people that save a helpless woman. But James was basically saying that the roles that they would have been cast in wouldn't have sent a good message. And I'm trying to understand exactly what message do you think. And obviously, to everybody watching, and to us, it's very clear you've never seen Snow White. You just heard dwarves, and in your stupid woke head, you thought that they were perpetuating a harmful stereotype, and you took Disney's side on this. You didn't bother to do any research. I hate people that pretend like they've seen some shit. Just say you ain't seen it, it's fine. Not everybody's seen every single Disney film. I was ranting and raving about King Kong versus Godzilla the other day. I love that film. And I was talking to my friend about it. And it was like, yeah, man, King Kong really fucked up Godzilla. I was like, what? Did we watch the same film? Godzilla pushed his shit in the entire film. King Kong got one good axe hit in. And I said to him, why are you lying, bro? It's okay. Obviously, I would have seen King Kong versus Godzilla. There's no way I was going to miss that shit. But I know he wasn't really into it. You just tell me the truth. Besides, I don't mean to digress. Let me just say this, because I know there's probably going to be some King Kong Godzilla fans. King Kong will never beat Godzilla in a fight. It's just not going to happen. Godzilla's got hyper breath. Okay, it ain't going to happen. As a matter of fact, when I was watching that film, I was like, I feel sorry for King Kong. Have you seen it?
King Kong?
No, King Kong versus Godzilla. No. There's a part in it, right? Because Godzilla beats the fuck out of the entire film. At the end, I'm sorry if I'm spoiling. At the end, Godzilla puts his foot on King Kong's chest.
Is it new? Recent?
It came out like 2 years ago. It's a phenomenal film, though. It's really, really good. I was really surprised because I'm a fan of like the black and white 1950s, 1940s, whatever.
Oh, really?
I love those Godzilla films. I'm really into like kaiju stuff. But like kaiju's like all the big monsters. But there's a part in the film where Godzilla puts his foot on King Kong's chest and just looks him in the face. And King Kong's like, alright, cool. I've lost. But there's one part here where King Kong wasn't having it. He picked up an axe and he smashed it over Godzilla's head. I was like, oh shit, that boy's dead.
I think I cried watching King Kong.
The one with Jack Black?
The one, who's that female actor? Was it, what's her name? Blondie.
The one King Kong's in love with her and he's like carrying her around.
Yeah, what's her name again? I forgot.
I can't remember her name, but I know you.
No, I need to find out or it's going to bug me. Her name is, Scarlett Johansson. Is it her?
Scarlett Johansson.
Is it not Scarlett
Black
Johansson?
Widow. It wasn't Scarlett Johansson.
You sure?
Yes, I'm positive. Scarlett Johansson was not in King Kong. Can you imagine that? Just flying around.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Naomi Watts.
That's it. Scarlett Johansson. No, I was really upset at the end of King Kong as well, because when he was on the top of the building trying to protect her and like fight off the airplanes and they were shooting him in the back.
I was so confident as well. Yeah, Scarlett Johansson. You're like...
Yeah, because I've seen King Kong 100 times.
I sound like James right now.
No one sounds like James. Don't put yourself down like that. Okay, no one's as dumb as James. Anyway, we'll talk about King Kong Godzilla another time. You know, there's a new one coming out. We'll talk about it another time.
I'm not a dwarf, no. But that right there is the hypocrisy of the woke brigade. Dylan,
well, okay. So let me
just say, Dylan, I've got to let you go, unfortunately.
Real quickly, please. Pierce, quickly.
Final word, Dylan.
Pierce, James, let me ask you this. So if a writer writes a piece on what I'm saying, is it wrong of them? Because essentially, that's the same as the words coming out of my mouth.
What? Yeah, but you're not saying that I am a woke hypocrite, and Piers is, and that's what I disagree with. Because I'm absolutely not. So when I'm saying I agree with you, it has nothing to do with your...
We're going to leave it there. Just to be clear, Dylan, he disagrees with what I say, but when you say exactly the same thing, he completely agrees with it.
You're
and that
so annoying.
is James Barr, right to a T. Dylan,
nonsense.
Fantastic having you on Piers Morgan Uncensored. You did such a brilliant job in highlighting why this is so ridiculous. Shame on Disney, and I hope you get another brilliant role very soon. I really do.
Well, I hope so too, and I hope that this really kind of resounds with how I feel.
Yeah.
And I don't speak for the whole dwarf culture and community, but this is literally
Piers
how
does.
I feel.
Piers Morgan speaks for the entire dwarf community.
I've got to leave it there, Dylan.
He speaks
Thank
for
you.
all of you.
Thank you, Dylan, for joining me. James,
that's helpful, I think.
Thank you for joining me because
You're so welcome.
you came on and you beautifully highlighted the shocking
hypocrisy
hypocrisy of your culture.
Absolutely.
I'm a bit confused as to what just happened there in the end when James said some.
James was trying
and
to...
the dwarf agreed with him.
No, Hornsog was very polite. Like, he doesn't want to call him names, say he's a hypocrite and he's a wokey, but that's exactly what you are. You are a hypocrite. Your talking points, again, were all from like an emotional standpoint. I'm gay and we don't get cast in this. Well, first of all, we ain't talking about gay people.
But ain't that what he was saying what Piers was?
He was saying that Piers was just taking digs at him, and Piers was calling him a woke hypocrite, which is exactly what he is. That is exactly what he is. Okay. He doesn't know what he's talking about, and of course we know by listening to him now he's not seen Snow White. Otherwise, he wouldn't have a problem with the dwarfs. He's just talking out of his ass. I do wonder why Piers had him on, although if Piers wants to win an argument, get James Barr on. You're not going to lose an argument to James Barr. Surely not. That's just not going to happen. The guy doesn't know left from right. There's literally a dwarf actor sitting there saying the same things that Piers is saying, but because Piers is saying it, he doesn't want to hear it. And you know what? As funny as that might be, and as ridiculous it is, I actually know people that do that shit. I will say something to them, and they'll think it came from me, and then I'll say, oh, Donald Trump said it, and then they'll be like, well, I don't agree. And I'm like, but you just agreed with me. And that's when you realize that people don't actually care about the truth a lot of the time. They don't care about getting to the root cause. They just care about elevating their own tribe or subscribing to a certain kind of thinking from a certain kind of person. There's a lot of things that you can say to people, and if you don't tell them who it came from, they'll probably be like, that makes sense. And then you give them a name, they're like, oh, I can't agree with that. People become very attached to their tribes and to certain people rather than the messaging behind it and trying to understand it. I think what Disney's done is pretty terrible. It's not inclusive. I would encourage people to not watch it. I'm definitely not going to watch it. I wouldn't have watched it either way. Disney live actions are just shit. Yeah, James Barr just continues to prove me right in saying that he's probably the dumbest man in the UK. Anything you want to add?
Absolutely not.
Oh, wait, hold on. What do you think? I want to hear what you think of James. Tell us what you really think. Come on, let the gloves off.
I have no opinion. I don't judge. Can you insert Halo? Yeah.
All right, do you know what I'll do for you guys? Because Sabi does judge. She just doesn't do it on camera. When the camera turns off, she's going to start ripping James to shreds. But because she doesn't want to seem, Sabi presents as an angel. Look.
Can I say something?
Go on.
That's how rumors start.
That's
I've never gotten off camera and started ripping someone to shreds. I start talking about topics in a bit more depth and detail, but I don't rip people to shreds.
Tell me what you think about James.
I told you I haven't got an opinion. I don't judge.
Do you have an opinion of me?
Do I have an opinion on you? No.
You have no opinion of me, even though we've been doing a channel together for a year.
No. Why would I have an opinion on you?
If someone asked you, what do you think of Michael, what would you say to them?
I'll say that I think Michael is a really lovely guy.
That's an opinion.
Okay.
What do you think of James?
I think James is a really lovely guy.
Do you?
He's found his niche, Piers Morgan.
Are you being genuine right now? Remember you said lying is wrong, it's a sin?
I think that James is...
Say it. Go on.
I just think that he has a different outlook on life to us. And I think that he doesn't often know what he's talking about.
Okay.
So he just says whatever springs to mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know the guy. And I think that he tries to be funny on the Piers Morgan show. What else do you want from me? It's like you want me to say something in particular. Just because you think certain things of James doesn't mean I'm going to think the same thing.
It's not that, as I don't believe.
Do you like oranges?
What?
Do you like oranges?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you like bananas?
Yeah.
Do you like...
Pause.
What don't you like?
How you're being very PC right now?
No. What don't you like food-wise?
There's a lot. I'm very fussy. Keep naming stuff. I'm sure you'll get.
Do you
to
like?
I don't
Do you like oysters?
No.
Okay, so do I have to not like oysters just because you don't like oysters?
Yeah.
I don't like oysters, by the way. Actually, I've never tried it, but I can't bring myself to try it. But do you see the point?
I'm the alpha. I'm the leader. You follow my lead.
Oh, I'm bored. I'm bored. Drop me out. Drop me out.
Anyways, guys, let me know what you think of James Bond. Unfiltered in the comments. If you think I'm being harsh, then let me know in the comment section. Personally, I think the guy's a donut. I think Sabi probably thinks the same.
And in my defense, I'm actually genuinely, don't try to paint a narrative of me. Genuinely, I'm not a judgmental person. And you see me, I got a lot of slack on this channel when we first started it because I was always there trying to understand bad mind people and why they've done what they have and feel the way they do, and everyone's like, oh, she's just playing devil's advocate, she's not being genuine. And that's who I genuinely am. I always try and understand why people feel the way they feel because I'm a sensitive person myself. See what I'm saying?
No,
that's facts.
I'm joking about. I know you're
no, I know, but everyone watching is going to sit there and think, she's really judgmental off camera, blah, blah. And it's like, no, what you see is what you get. When I'm judging someone, I'm saying it on here. Like we're saying, it's a reaction channel. We are basing judgment on things. But as human beings, like, let people be people. I don't care. It's not my business. I mind my business in this life.
I want you guys to remember this video because we're going to continue doing videos on here. And one day someone's going to make Sabi snap and she's going to call them a toss pot. And it's all gonna kick off. I'm just gonna back away slowly and let her take over.
No, but I could say Josiah is a toss pot. I feel no way about saying that.
So you'd rip him?
Abso-fucking-lutely.
If you don't know, Josiah Mizukami is a pedophile who's been caught now. We did a video on him a while ago. You type his name into our YouTube channel, you'll find him. It's pretty sickening, but
yeah, who in their right mind would not judge that guy or feel a way towards him?
So yeah, when you say judgmental, you're just talking generally, right?
I'm just not judgmental over people who live life maybe a bit differently to me.
Is that why when I show you these
I don't judge you for loving anime?
Let's choose your next words carefully. I know you do.
I
don't lie to me.
Why would I judge you for liking anime? Do you judge me for liking...
I'm judgmental, you know that. I'm open about it. I'm very judgmental.
All right.
When people do things in front of me, that's one of the reasons you started talking to me. I judge them straight away. Sometimes Sabi does something in front of me and I'm just like...
But I'm not judging you for judging me. That's you. Do you if that's what makes you happy. If that's what helps you sleep at night.
It's not that it helps me sleep at night. That's just who I am. If I see something, I cast judgment.
You know, well, you're not like Christian like me, but, you know, God says you can't judge people.
Then why did he give me the free will to do it?
That's your business, and then you're going down there, mate.
Am I not his business?
Because we all make life choices, and if you want to make that life choice, bye-bye.
You really think...
I'm not seeing you in the afterlife. Enjoy me while you've got me here.
We're going to be doing midnight rubbish up in heaven.
Oh, you think you're coming heaven?
100% am. 100%.
Why are you so confident?
Because I'm good to people. Just because I judge, you really think
Can I tell you something? It's not. You could be the nicest person on earth. You could be the nicest person on earth. You could pray 100 times a day. You can go to church every Sunday. You can read the Bible every day. But if you don't believe in God, you're not going to heaven.
That's a different story. We're talking about going to hell because of judgment.
You could kill someone. Yeah, you could kill someone. Ask for forgiveness. Believe in God and believe that you're going to heaven and you'll still go heaven.
Is there not a limit on that?
No.
So
okay, for example.
Are you telling me Hitler, who killed, 17 million people or whatever, he's like, yeah, I fucked up. And he genuinely believes that he'll get let into heaven?
Yeah.
17 million souls. That's cap. That's not happening.
So listen to it this way, yeah? So what Hitler did is a sin. Yeah? Okay.
That's an understatement.
Okay. Somebody who goes out drinking or whatever, or someone who's robbed a shop, it's a sin. Yeah?
They're not equal though.
They're not equal, but they're both sins. So why should one not be able to ask for forgiveness when they've both sinned?
Sabi, if I steal from your house, that's not good. That's a sin, right? If I bludgeon your brother and he dies in front of you, they're different sins. I've taken a human life.
But it's still a sin. A sin is a sin.
It
doesn't matter.
I swear the whole story is that they weigh up the gravity of your sins against your good deeds.
No, if you believe.
So all sins are created equal.
If you ask God for forgiveness, yeah, and you believe that He forgives you, and you are going heaven, and you believe in God and you have faith, you will go heaven.
Who told you that? You think genocidal maniacs are going to heaven? Exactly who is going to heaven?
To be honest with you, I got told this by a proper...
What's his name?
Religious, born-again Christian.
Whoever this is lying to you.
No, he's not.
He's lying.
No, he's not.
Hitler is not in heaven. And neither is anybody else.
But Hitler probably didn't believe in God and didn't ask for forgiveness and all that shit.
A lot of these, there's religious fanatics, right, that do crazy shit to people that do believe in God. They believe they're doing the Lord's work.
How do you know if they're in heaven or hell? You're not in either of them places.
Because you're telling me that if they believe in God and they pray for forgiveness, they'll be let into heaven.
If they realize that they've sinned and they ask for forgiveness, then yeah. Any Christians in the comments wanna give their opinion on or thoughts on this, please?
Do you understand why? So if that is true, do you understand why somebody would be reluctant to be a Christian? You've raped women. Let's say you've raped 50 women, but you're a religious person. It's not like religious people haven't done that before. Genuinely believes in God. And towards the end of their life, they're like, yeah, that was really bad. Genuinely feels sorry, despite all of the disasters they've caused, because raping a woman has implications on families. Some of these women might have taken their lives, right? You've caused all of this chaos, but now you feel sorry. God's going to let you into heaven. Can you not see why people would have a problem with that and believing in a God like that?
Yeah.
Why would I put my faith in somebody that's going to let somebody like that into heaven? I don't believe God would let Hitler into heaven, first of all. There has to be a limit on how many people you can take out. And if you're taking out half of the planet, I don't think any level of forgiveness is going to let you in.
I'm going to have a conversation with different Christians.
With me present.
You can be present.
I need to
You're coming church on Sunday. Let's ask people.
I'm going to ask
Let's stay behind at the end of the service.
You've got your brother's birthday.
And okay, well,
can't stay too long.
20 minutes out.
Okay.
Talk to 3 different people and let's ask and find out.
If one of those priests turns around to me and says he believes that Hitler could go to heaven if he genuinely was sorry and he believed in God, we're going to get into an argument. I'm not going to allow him to stand there and say some bullshit like that. I'm going to press him. That's a ridiculous notion. I'm not going to be...
I don't want to be involved if you're going to start getting into arguments with people.
No, you're going to have to get... but if he says some bullshit like that...
No, I'm not bringing you to church.
You can't stop me from going to the church.
Well, I'm not going to stand with you. I'm not going to talk to people with you.
If he says that, I can't push him on it.
You can have a normal conversation, but you don't need to say, I'm going to get in an argument with him.
Well, if I'm challenging their belief, I've gone into arguments with religious people before. It always turns into an argument. But you can't say some shit like that. Like, there's no way. You're telling me what? I don't know. These people that walk into schools and light up all the children in their last moments, if they were asking for forgiveness and they believe in God.
No, you can't say in their last moments, because that's different. Why? Do you know what I'm saying? Because that's like, oh shit, my life's ending quick, I need to get to heaven. Like, that's different. But if you've done some bad things in your time and you've gotten to a point in your life where you're like, do you know what? I fucked up. This was bad. Like, Lord, like, please forgive me. And you want to be born again. Why is the Lord not going to accept you?
Because there has to be a level of depravity that even the Lord
Well, let's find out on Sunday, because I can't answer these questions. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't know the answers.
Does that sound right to you, though?
No, and it has made me feel a type of way since having that conversation, because I'm like, okay, so what makes me nervous is that if I have certain family members who don't believe in God and aren't religious or believing that they're going to heaven, am I not going to see them once I hit the other side? Do you know what I'm saying? It got me sad, because I was like, hang on a second, like, how do I know who's going to heaven and who's not? How do I know which bad people are going and which people aren't? So I get it. I feel the same way as you. Yeah, it has made me feel a type of way. But if I'm hearing that from someone who's super religious and follows religion heavy, of course I'm going to...
Religious doctrine is quite complex, and people that go to your local church might not understand it in all of its like forms. If God is real, I don't believe he would reject you at the pearly gates just because you didn't necessarily believe in him. You could have done like untold amounts of good, saved children, saved animals.
But if you don't believe in God, then you don't believe in heaven and hell. So why would you even go there?
Yeah, but then if God is all powerful and almighty, he would have the power to cast you out, right? When you die, where do you go if you don't believe? You just exist in nothingness. Purgatory.
Okay, so before I was religious, my viewpoint on it was science. So I used to look at it as we're all humans with organs, and once you die, that's it. You're just dead. Like your brain's dead, your heart's dead, and that's it. And then that's it. I don't believe in your soul going somewhere and ghosts and all this stuff. I just think that's it. You're just done.
Yeah, but that's an answer why I asked you. If God is all loving and he can acknowledge, let's say you, for example, you do loads of good, you give back, you've never done a bad thing to anybody, you've always been kind and you've helped people, and you die, right? However you die, old age, something happens to you. You get to the gates and God's like, well, you didn't believe in me, so bye. No, I don't believe that. But what
I'm saying is that if you don't believe in God, you're not even going to anticipate going to the gates anyway.
It's not about anticipating.
And your question, and I answered your question because your question was, well, what about, what do you think happens to them people? Like I said,
no, I'm asking you now as you're a born again Christian, right? I'm asking you now, where do you think these people, these souls go if they don't get allowed into heaven, and they're not going to go to hell because they don't believe in either of them? Purgatory, right?
They'll go in hell. They'll go hell.
But they don't. If they don't believe in heaven and hell, why do they get sent to hell and not heaven? Doesn't make any sense.
Because you should believe in God.
No, if the premise is you have to believe in both of them to go to either one, why would you default to hell?
It's a good question. I don't know.
I think if there is a God and he recognizes your good deeds, because I've heard of like this story about the tipping scale and they weigh your sins against your good deeds. You're telling me that my man's got 1,000 good deeds, but his sin is he didn't believe you existed. That's too much for me. Bye. Doesn't sound like a very all-loving God to me. And I don't think that's what he would do.
Yeah, but they did not love God then.
Because they didn't believe he existed.
Okay, so then why has he got a duty to let them in heaven if they ain't believing in him?
Do you know how messed up it is to send a good person to burn in hell for eternity?
Okay,
burn in hell because I didn't believe you existed. How narcissistic is that?
I don't know the answers to your questions.
I'm not saying you have the answers. We're just talking, like we're just shooting the shit. How egotistical does it sound for someone that is all powerful and almighty to be like, well, you didn't believe in me, so you're gonna go burning hell for eternity. And I don't even know what circle of hell you're gonna be sent to, but you're gonna burn in hell for eternity. Imagine you're in the lake of blood, just sizzling for the rest of eternity, all because you didn't believe. That doesn't make any sense. I would love to hear.
You're right.
I would love to hear because that's not all loving, is it?
Yeah, I get
that's not all loving. That just doesn't make any sense. I'm not shitting on the Christian religion or anything like that. Like I go to church with Sabi. I'm happy to go there and talk to people, but make it make sense to me on some level. I know it's all spiritual and that.
But also, I'm not good at reiterating like what people have told me. Do you know what I'm saying? Like everything you said today about like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, I wouldn't be able to go and relay this conversation back to someone.
No, that's
Do you know what I'm saying? So,
but you're new to the church again, so I'm not expecting you to give me nuanced answers.
Yeah.
But I would expect a pastor or a preacher to be able to explain this to me, because if you're telling me that a person that has gone through all their life sacrificing for others, bringing children into the world, raising them into good people, giving to charity, being loving, looking after animals, selfless person, and their good outweighs their sins, because we're all flawed in our own way, but the sin of not believing means they are going to burning hell, or maybe spend the rest of their eternity in purgatory, just in nothingness. How am I supposed to get behind something like that? So comment in the comment section. I know we've got some religious people that watch. Educate me, because that doesn't make sense to me.
Educate me as well.
I don't believe that if there is a God, he would do that to you. That's not all loving. That doesn't make any sense to me. That is malicious on so many levels, and that is extremely egotistical. And I just don't believe that.
But can I just say, no one said to me that you're going hell if you don't believe in God.
You said that to me.
No, I said that myself.
Oh, okay, so they never said that to you.
No.
Yeah, well, I'm glad they didn't, because that's a crazy thing to come out with.
No, but I did get told that it doesn't matter like what your sin is, as long as you pray for forgiveness, you change your ways, and you believe in God, and you believe that you're going heaven, you will go heaven.
I imagine
that's what I got told.
Imagine you got to heaven, yeah? God forbid, touch wood, this guy has raped a family member of yours.
But if
you get to heaven and you see him stand there and you're like, so I'm sorry, you raped someone, but because you asked for forgiveness, you get to be here. What? Doesn't make any sense. That's nonsense. You're supposed to. Those people should burn in hell. That there has to be some sins.
I agree. That's why it made me feel uneasy after hearing it.
There has to be some sins that you can't walk back. There has to be some. Obviously, stealing, getting into stupid fights, whatever else there is. I get, God could be like, listen, can't do that shit up here. But you grape someone, you kill multiple people, you cause a genocide, and God's like, yeah, he believed in me and he forgave. I gave him forgiveness. No, I don't believe that shit. That's crazy. But let us know in the comment section. Maybe you're a priest or a preacher and you're watching me ramble going, this guy doesn't have a fucking clue.
Yeah,
let us know.
I don't have a clue either, so
educate me. I'm agnostic, so I believe something is out there. I just don't know what it is.